Hey everybody, welcome back to Taji's World of Books and welcome to my weekly reading wrap-up. Hey you guys, so I've been reading several books and I was waiting to kind of get a couple things together and things were a little bit interrupted with the holiday season, but that's totally fine. So I just figured this is just going to be a weekly reading wrap-up from last week, the books that I read, so let's just jump into it. Okay, so the first book that I read, or one of the books that I read, is from 1000 Dark Nights, and this is the Rhythm Method, and this is a stage dive novella by Kylie Scott. I loved it because you guys remember I read the stage dive novels, and I loved all of the characters in those books, and I really loved their story, and the books in those series are Lick, Play, Lead, Deep, and then they had several like novellas for like other characters. And man, I loved revisiting the guys. I would have had, I think, a better reading experience if I would have read this book in relation to all the other books, because there's so many cast of characters that they're all sort of, you know, where they are in their lives and their significant others and their kids. I think it was like Mal and like Dave's brother. And so while it was still a fun ride, I would have preferred to read it all together. And this is basically Dave Ferris's story with Eve, I believe is what her name is. Eve. I think it's Eve. Evelyn. Yeah. So it's Dave Ferris's story with Eve. And so we know that in Lick, remember they had a tumultuous sort of coming together in that she woke up on a hotel floor like drunk after a night out in Vegas and like she was married to Dave. Okay, so now the Rhythm Method is a surprise pregnancy. And like what happens and how that is all handled and how the band comes together. And Mal is hilarious in this book. He's always super hilarious. But again, I felt like I would have had a better experience if I would have read this all together, because I was having trouble remembering the characters and how they related. But still really good nonetheless. Quick and dirty. Dave has to come to terms with some stuff. You know, Eve has to come to terms with some stuff. She has to step up. He has to step up. The bandmates step up. They call each other to task on various things. It's fun ride. So I wound up giving this a 4 out of 5 star, and Kylie Scott delivered again. So that's that. The next book that I read is my first Jade West book, and this is Dirty Daddies. And let me say this, I have no triggers whatsoever so far. I haven't read anything that like triggered me at all, and I'm not going to say that this is a trigger, but this is a daddy kink representation, and there's no kink shame here, but in this particular book, I did not care for it. It felt a little bit insta-lovey, lusty type thing for me. The story was a little bit, I don't know. So here's the deal. You've got Michael and his best friend, Jack, and then you've got Carrie. Carrie is on Michael's caseload. He's a social worker in the UK, and she has been in the system forever, and he's worked with her forever, but as the book begins, she is aging out of the system, and he's closing his case with her. She has never been successful in any of the homes that she's been in, and we don't really know why. She acts out, and she's telling you, I'm acting out and doing all of these awful, evil things, and I know that I need to stop, but I can't. Okay, so he's always been attracted to her, but he's never acted on it because she's been on his caseload. And to make a long story short, when she ages out and he closes the case, he goes to the bar to celebrate, the local pub, to celebrate with his friend Jack. Jack meets him there, and as they are there, who walks in but underage Carrie she's just 18, underage, because she's not able to drink, with an older guy who is a degenerate from town. And Michael is like, absolutely not. And Jack is like, dude, you do not need to get involved with this girl. This is going to be a problem because I know that you are a bleeding heart and I know how much you care about your job, and this spells trouble. It's like just written all over it. And he's like, I can't not. So he snatches her up and is like, you're not going to do this. I'm going to take you home. You need to be. And she goes, I don't have a home. And she's been trying to tell him that the foster family that she lives with doesn't want her, but he hasn't heard her. And when he takes her home, he really does understand at that point. So he then makes it his mission to help her. And so, to make a long story short, they ultimately, through the story, wind up being in It's kind of an MFM situation. But it's definitely two of them and one of her. And the story sort of unfolds from there. And it just, I don't know, like the way this particular book was written, I was like, it was all right. It was a quick read. It was a fun read. I gave it a 3 out of 5 star. You know, there is an HEA that happens as a result of this. There is a little bit of angsty type situations that go on. Michael is definitely resistant to the situation because of his position and who he is in relation to her. Jack is much more involved in the situation. She does a lot of things where she's acting out, destroying property, just, you know, working through trauma. And so it definitely is a conversation about helping people that are in trouble and how people act out when they are in trouble and what they need. And so it's an interesting read nonetheless. So if you want a taboo type of a read and you're definitely interested in this and Daddy Kink, I think you should check it out. There are other stories that I understand by Jade West that are much more heart-wrenching and emotional that I'm going to go in and read here in the next couple of weeks and check out, because I'm definitely going to give Jade West another chance. Like this just particular one just felt a little bit insta-lusty to me. Okay. So then the next series that I want to talk about was super fun. And this is Maya Banks. And this is I believe this series is called The Breathless. That's right. It's called the Breathless trilogy. And book 1 in the story is Rush. And this story is about 3 main characters. Now, I'm going to say overall that this was written during the time of 50 Shades of Grey. So it is very reflective of 50 Shades of Grey. Okay, so just let's put that blanket over it. So there's Gabe, Jace, and Ash, right? And they're the 3 wealthiest and most powerful men in the country. They're billionaires. They started from nothing. They basically bought their first property and then developed from there. So they used the equity in the first property and sort of bought another property and so on and so forth. So they deal in hotels and commercial properties. And they have been like billionaire playboys like all of their lives, like, you know, well, since they've gotten older and they develop like all this wealth. And they do what they want and they live the way they want. And they're dominant, alpha, asshole type guys. Okay, so Mia is the sister, so remember, it's Gabe, Jace, and Ash. Mia is the sister of Jace, and Jace is super protective of Mia because their parents died. Mia is 14 years younger than Jace. Their parents died, and Jace and Gabe and Ash all basically raised Mia. She's been around forever. So Gabe, for whatever reason, I think Mia like comes in and she's like looking for a job, or she walks into a ballroom, or she walks into a situation where Gabe sees her. Ash and Jace are off doing something else. Gabe sees her and is like, nope. He snatches her up. He's like, you shouldn't be here. What are you doing? Like, your brother wouldn't appreciate this. Come see me on. And she's like, I need to get a job. I need to do da-da-da. And he's like, okay, fine. He's like, if you need a job, come see me. So she has him come in. He's always had a crush on her, but he has rules and he has expectations about how he wants her to behave. So because Gabe was married previously, and his ex-wife made several accusations against him for inappropriate conduct, he makes everybody that he engages in a relationship with sign a contract. And it's a BDSM contract. He is attracted to Mia, he wants Mia, and he wants to keep it on the down low because they have to hide this from Jace, because if Jace finds out, he is going to lose his shit. So what does Gabe do? But Gabe draws up this contract, he gives it to Mia, and he's like, you will work for me. Here are the guidelines, but this is what we will do. Read it, sign it, and give it back to me on Monday. You have a weekend to decide. And she reads this contract, and there's there's a clause in there that says that you will, have birth control, you will get a full STD checkup, and you will wear condoms in any situations where there are other people involved. She's like, what the hell? She's like, what? And so she reads through the contract, and then on Monday they sit down and start to negotiate this contract. And all everything ensues from there. So let me say that these are like alpha guys, and there are parts in here where Gabe can be an alpha asshole, and he does so because he's also battling against his own internal fears from his first marriage. So he does things to prove to himself that he doesn't care about Mia, but in essence, we all know that he does care about her. So he does some asshole-ish stuff, but at the same time, they can be kind of cinnamony. So they can be very, very sweet and very like indulging to all of their significant others. So this series has stuff that I really love, which is 3 close friends, and obviously as we get through the series, 3 significant others, close-knit connected friends that we see throughout all the series, you know, because we get to see what's happening with them. HEAs at the end and great wrap-ups. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 star. It was definitely fun. It's more a series that if you want to just dip your toe into the water of BDSM, I have read many other series that have much more significant and much more like hardcore BDSM, like BDSM to like, you know, demonstrate love, to demonstrate healing, to work through trauma. So this is just so light, and it felt very like it was supposed to be like really steamy and sexy, and it was, but it wasn't like the most intense that I've ever read. Like it's just an introduction, if that makes sense. So that's Rush. The next book in the series, this is, oh my gosh, this was Jace's story. Now, this was sold to me as a menage, and it's not a menage per se. It is a threesome situation where Jace and Ash have never met with girls independently. They always had threesomes because it's the way that they allowed themselves to be independent and kind of, you know, like not get too connected to girls. And so in this instance, they're at a party from these characters over here. They're at a party, and while at this party, one of the servers catches their eye, and Ash sees that Jace is interested, but Jace doesn't make a move. So Ash is like, if you're not going to make the move, I will make the move and step up to her. So he steps up to Brittany, and he's like, hey, he's like, you know, I want to see you. Like, are you whatever? And Jace walks out, and Jace is like, Ash, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm sealing the deal. And so Bethany is starting to like get a hint like that Jace and Ash are a pair. And so she's like, they're like, have you ever had a threesome? You know, are you interested? And Bethany responds with, is dinner included? And they're like, dinner? Yeah, of course. Like, you know, they're like, you know, we can get a room in this hotel. And so she learns that they're the owner of the hotel. And so she's like, okay, fine. She decides to do it. And so Jace from the jump does not want to share Bethany with Ash, but he doesn't speak up, and he does it anyway, but you can tell he is possessive of her. She feels it, Ash feels it, and Ash is like, brother, what's going on? Like, they're not really brothers, but they're best friends. He's like, what's going on? Like, you know, like, I feel like there's something different here, but nobody really acknowledges it, and so they proceed with the threesome. They proceed to have this, you know, passionate night. Ash does what Ash typically does, which is like, I'm out, I'm gonna go sleep in the other room. You guys can stay together. And when Jace wakes up in the morning, Bethany is gone. And he is frantic. And he uses all of his resources and all of his might to try to find Bethany. And he discovers that Bethany is homeless and that she lives at a women's shelter. And he just is like unacceptable. And this book is phenomenal. It is a really good story because Bethany has had a very hard life living on the streets of New York since she was 19 years old. And there is a lot that goes into this book. Substance abuse, trauma, you know, homelessness, you know, haves and have-nots. It just is, it covered a lot. I was really impressed with this book. It really was good. And she has a brother that has supported her. He is also homeless on the streets. He is also involved in some nefarious activities and what that all means. Then you also have to deal with the jealousy factor of like that Ash has slept with Bethany and how he feels about that. Bethany is a true submissive, very, very submissive to Ash, and Ash is, I'm sorry, to Jace, and Jace is a 100% dom. He's a dom in everything, and he says, I'm a hard man to be with because I want to control everything down to what you wear, where you go, what you do. But in this situation, it works so well. It works. Bethany needs that. 100% she needs that. So this book is a 5 out of 5 star. I cannot speak highly enough about it. It is really, really good. Okay, then the final book in the series is Burn. And Burn, of course, we got to get Ash's story. And Ash's story is, wow, Ash is feeling like my best friends have now connected with their significant others. They're happy. They have their HEA and I have nothing. And I'm starting to feel a little bit left out. And he's walking in the park. And as he's walking in the park, he sees this woman painting and doing her art. And he sees that she has a collar on and it's a choker, but he knows and recognizes it. And he starts up a conversation with her. And it just ensues from there. And Josie is an artist, and Ash makes a lot of mistakes. Ash tries to do the right thing. He tries to support Josie, but does it in a way where he's hiding secrets. Ash is also dealing with a lot from his family because he comes from a very, very wealthy family, but all of his wealth, as with Jace and Gabe, have come from hard work and come from the things that he's done for himself. And his family is coming back onto the scene and threatening and making Josie feel a certain kind of way. And so it deals with all of these issues. It deals with Ash dealing with his internal stuff that he needs to work out so that he can feel good about himself. Josie is also dealing with her own issues of insecurities and feeling like I'm bringing nothing to the table, and I was an artist, or I am an artist, and I've sold all of my paintings to a benefactor, and now I've come to find out that that's a lie, and I want to be in this relationship because I choose to, not because I need to, and I don't want to be taken care of in that way. It's a really, really good book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 star. I really loved it. It was fun, a fun ride. I've absolutely ordered other Maya Banks books because she has a couple other series that sound interesting to me and I want to check them out. And her alpha heroes, again, they are so buttery sweet to their significant others. And in each one of these books, we get to see all of the characters. We see how well they pamper their women, but how dominant they are in the bedroom, as well as in their individual lives. And these women are no pushovers in any way, but they are submissive to their men, but they choose to be submissive to their men because they trust them, because their men are so giving and so kind, and just amazing, amazing human beings. So this is a fun series, fun. And again, if you've never checked out, a BDSM, and it's different because it's not erotica, these are romances. Like, there is a true romance and a development of the romance and a working towards that arc and a working towards that development of their relationship, whilst you have this like really amazing steam and steam factor that goes in that you're just like, whew, that is amazing. So they're fun nonetheless. Okay, you guys, that is all that I have for today. I am going to look forward to doing my year-end wrap-up and talking about my favorite series and my favorite duets and my favorite standalones, and that is all coming, you guys. So I just got to get on it and get some filming done. But that is all that I have for today, and I look forward to seeing you guys. Please hit the like button, the notification button. It helps me in so many ways. I appreciate you guys so much. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!